We're going to look at the Catt's deletion task. There was a video that you should have watched prior to seeing this analysis. It was with a kindergarten child aged 6 years and 6 months. After watching that video, we want you to look at the analysis that we did and the implications for instruction. The Catt's deletion task provides early detection of children who may be at risk for reading problems, but it also can predict reading achievement. We're looking at phonological awareness, syllable, and phoneme deletion. Students are asked to delete a syllable or a phoneme and then say the remaining sound sequence in the word. Again, this student is a boy. He's aged 6 years and 6 months, and he was at kindergarten at the time of the assessment. So let's look at the Catt's deletion task and the appendix. First of all, you're given some practice problems or practice pictures that you do with the child. There are 3 practice pictures. We look at these pictures, state with the child that we have 2 objects, a cow and a boy. So together, this word would be cowboy. Then we ask the child, how do you say cowboy without cow? And at that time, what we're going to do is cover up physically the cow, so the child only sees the boy. What we're looking for is the child at that point to move from cowboy to just boy. Let's look at the next picture. Toothbrush. It's a little hard to see the tooth. So then we ask the child, what is toothbrush without the tooth? And the child will state brush. So our last practice picture is a cup and cake. The word is cupcake. How do we say cupcake without the cup? And the child states cake. All right, so now let's move on to the appendix of what the words are and what those levels mean. We're looking at the deletion task, and there's 21 words. Now, you might not be able to see this very closely in this video, but I know that you have a copy of this paper in your assessment documents. So we have the 21 words. We can take off parts of compound words. In baseball, a syllable. We're taking off phonemes, the initial onset phoneme, as in T in tall in number 17, just to give you an example. And at the bottom, what we have is the Appendix B. This states where our child should be based on their age. Again, our child was 6 years and 6 months. So for the deletion task, we would like for him to be getting approximately 9 to 10 of these words correctly. So let's look and see how he did. This is the blank form. When you're doing the deletion task with the child, as I said before, you go through the practice problems and then you're writing on the blank form while the child is telling you what the words are. So we would say the first word is baseball. What is baseball without base? At that time, the child would state ball. You would write that in the correct column. If the child makes an incorrect response, then we write it in the incorrect column. So here's our student's assessment. If you notice, I put a few marks on this, like some things that the child said, wasn't sure how to do that. Also, because I was working quickly, I had just gone and written everything in one column, but wanted to make sure I went back and scratched it out. That's fine. This is a working document, an assessment document, and I wanted to show you that if you didn't do it perfect the first time, it's okay. Just make marks, make any kind of comments that you have about your child on your form. But let's look at what he was able to do. So, ball, cut, day, road. When we got to sometime, I was a little surprised. It was as if he wasn't familiar with the word, and he kind of, I don't know. And so I left that blank, but also put his comments. Turn. Then when we got to around, it's what is around without a. So we're looking for the child to say round, but in this case, he just put, or he stated ound. So he got rid of the A and he got rid of the R in the word round. Motel, he said tell, almost, most, helpful, full. For baby, you'll start to see some patterns here. He does almost the same thing that he did in around. He took another consonant out. So baby without bay, we would want him to say B, but he just said E. Person without per. Well, this one, he only deleted the first phoneme, the P, and he said Urson. Monkey, he deleted the M and said unky. Then when we got to 14 through 19, we were just deleting the phoneme. He was able to do that with great accuracy. And then down here with snail and thread, when it got more complicated and he was looking at these blends and taking off the S in snail or the TH sound in thread, he took the entire blend off. Interestingly enough, it's also what he was able to do in some of the ones above that. What does this mean? You know, we're listening to the child state these, we're marking down what the assessment is, but unless we do anything with this, unless we look at what the implications for instruction is, it doesn't really mean anything at this point. So here's our implications. First of all, compound words, 2-syllable. He's pretty comfortable with those. We know that those are areas that we can work with. It's instructional for him. We can go, some of those make them a little bit more difficult, kind of play around with some unfamiliar compound words and see if he can start to differentiate those as well. He did have some confusion though when we got to multi-syllable words, not compounds, as in number 7 through 13. Let's go back and look at that. That's where we had 7 through 13 when we have around, baby, person, and monkey. So he started to have some difficulties on those multi-syllables. And then phoneme deletion. He did a really good job on the initial consonant phonemes in 14 through 19 when we were single syllables, but then when we got to digraphs and blends, he started to have some difficulties, which means those are areas of concentration that we want to work with this child to expand his vocabulary and work on his phonemic awareness and phonological awareness. I hope this was helpful. Feel free to go back at the video, listen to the student doing his assessment, and go through the data analysis as well if there's any confusions. One thing I did want to mention was in the analysis, we looked at how this child should perform, and we were looking for a correct answer of 9 or 10 words. Our student actually was able to state 14 words correct. So he was above grade level for this particular assessment, but that doesn't mean that we can't use the information in the assessment for instruction and to guide us for future instruction.